Our final speaker is Mr. Benjamin Fallis, a student at Earthridge since the 5th grade.
Good morning. My name is Benjamin Fallis, and I'm going to be talking today on a topic that is often treated harshly here, that is often criticized, but one that I think is criticized unfairly. That topic is modern art. And I think you all know the harsh attitude I'm talking about when I say that. It's the kind of attitude that causes one in a museum to look at a painting and frown or in some other way make public their disapproval and then step back and say to their partner, well, my 5-year-old could have painted that. I can see where this complaint comes from, but I don't think it's a fair one, and I think we lose out on a lot when we criticize modern art in this way. I also think it misses the role art has in our life, and so I'm going to be at the end talking about that. But first, a painting by Mondrian. Get Mondrian late in his life, composition 10. And while I think we would all be surprised to see a 5-year-old paint that, and I suppose, given adequate practice and time, it is not completely outside of the realm of possibility. I think this also feeds into the image many of us have of modern artists, the kind of people who will throw up a few lines and shapes onto a canvas and not even knowing enough to know their own ineptitude pass it off as good art. And somehow art curators and art collectors have all bought into this fantastic fabrication and no one even remembers that the emperor wears no clothes. But I don't think this accurately reflects the kind of work Mondrian put into these paintings. He was meticulous when he would paint them. He would spend hours on these paintings. Sometimes he would move lines millimeters, shaving off the side of one with white paint and adding black on the other side to get that perfect balance he was looking for, because that's the kind of thing Mondrian wants in his paintings. He is a painter who is after balance. I was actually concerned before I did Mondrian about talking about him today, because when I saw him in the book, when I saw him on the screen at first, I didn't get what was up with it, so I looked at them and I thought, well, my 5-year-old, etc. But it was only in the museum when I was standing in front of the painting, as a painting there for the first time, that I understood. That's the kind of thing that they were all seeing. I understood what the much ado was about. There's an order here that is hard to capture. In fact, if museums suspect they have a forgery, they will often ask Mondrian experts, do you think this is Mondrian? Because this kind of order in there is so hard to imitate that they can tell with a glance. That looks like something you would paint, or no, that doesn't. The second painting is one painted 20 years later by a different artist, Robert Motherwell, called The Barcelona Elegy, one of his elegies to the Spanish Republic. There are some striking similarities he has with Mondrian. He uses flat colors, lots of primary colors, although I think there's some purple in there as well, and black and white. They're flat, there aren't gradients, and this doesn't represent anything we've ever seen before. Both of the paintings are completely abstract. But I think the similarities in there. Whereas Mondrian's painting was harmonious, it was balanced, it felt in some way complete. This is jarring, this is off-putting, this is upsetting. I guess you could even say it's fascist, because I think that's what Manuel was after. The Spanish Republic that he elegizes with this painting was one that felt fascist in a 3-year civil war that saw horrific civilian casualties. And I can't help but think when I look at paintings like this was what it was like to live in that time. When you see in the background there's this chance for nuance, this chance for detail, this chance for a balance that you see in Mondrian, but over the surface these great black forms have blotted out any kind of nuance or detail. At a time in which you would have friends advocating for fascism on one side and Bolshevikism on the other. And this is a painting that means a lot to me indeed. I said also that I would be speaking about the aesthetic experience, and now I intend to deliver, starting with a quote by Blaise Pascal. The heart knows reasons that reason knows not. When I first encountered this quote, I thought it meant something like this, that we are basically reasoning beings. The first thing we do when we approach this world is reason about it. And sometimes the heart will come along with its different reasons, its silly reasons, its emotional reasons, and while that might not be reasonable, it might be a little self-indulgent to listen to that. Once in a while, it's okay. But I now think that view is false, because I do not think we are primarily reasoning beings. I think we are practical beings first. We are social beings. We live in the world before we think about the world. And it's not the bounds of reason that determine what kind of art we can produce, but it is the bounds of our habitual experience that determine what we can reason about. And it's for that reason that I find this approach to art so bankrupt. It is because it puts the cart before the horse. It tries to talk about what art can be before it experiences art. It tries to put art in a category when art works on a deeper level than our ability to categorize things. Samuel Beckett, the famous playwright, was once asked about his play Waiting for Godot, "Is Godot God?" To which he replied, "If Godot were God, I would have named him God." Similarly, if any of these artists had something they wanted to say with a sentence or a paragraph, they would have said it and have been over with it and would have spared themselves the trouble of painting. But art isn't something you can sum up in a sentence. It's not the artist's role to reflect mystic truths, because the artist is working with something deeper than truth. He's working on a level on which we work deeper than truth. We are more than truth-gathering beings. We are creatures who love each other and who talk to each other and who work towards goals. And it is that which the artist is after. Ultimately, art is not a problem to be talked about. It's not something to be solved. It is a reality to be experienced. And while we can point to the interesting things in art, it's the truly unique artistic experience that we must pass over in silence, or else run the risk of eliminating entirely the only interesting thing it has to teach us. Thank you for your time.